let's call it a tutorial. Today I'm just gonna speak a bit more in general about Shadow Priest and hopefully getting some transferable things in. I'll be talking about some targeting, also a little bit of arena stuff, so this is gonna be a video about a bit of everything, you know, because I'm not gonna make complete lists of videos until you start paying me. So first of all, we're gonna start with is targeting. Targeting is very important. Be it in raids or in arena or in battlegrounds, it does not matter. It's all equally important. There are certain ways you can use targeting. You have your tab button, which is very unreliable if there's multiple targets. So, in my opinion, you should try to set up your UI so you can see the bars like you see them here, and just click on them. These bars allow me, for example, when I put dots on them, I see the timers as well. Which is very handy if you're a multi-dotter. So that your class requires certain setups like this, I might advise you to get that. As a general thing for Shadow Priest, I would definitely recommend this. The second thing I want to talk about is targeting is focus target. Focus target is a very important thing. You can assign a macro I mean, you can make a macro, it doesn't matter, but you can assign keybind into targeting on the keybind section. Go to your focus target, give it a keybind that suits you well. I would advise you to do that because it's a very good thing to use. So what does this allow me to do? I target, for example, this dummy. I put it on focus target, target myself, whatever, doesn't matter. I go to macros, and I show you the macros I use. For example, vampiric touch on focus target. This is the macro that's transferable for any other skills you want to use. You just fill in the name instead of the vampiric touch or the shadow word pain, or devouring plague, or shadow word death, or the mind blast. Doesn't matter, you just change it accordingly. So what does this do? I don't have the skull targeted at all. I will target myself. I will dot them up. This allows me to 1. DPS double targets without ever having to worry about switching to that one to DPS. So for example, in this case I can DPS 2 other targets and I only need to focus on those, and I can check here for my dot timers, which obviously are running out. I am not focusing on that. It's important to track cooldowns, very important. Cooldowns you always need to use. But that's a different story. Another thing that this allows you to do with the focus target, for example, is when you are assigned to interrupting certain ads in a raid, you can put them in focus and just go to your macros, transferable again, cast / at focus, silence for example, in my case, it's my interrupt. I also have it for psychic horror, it's more for arena purposes, mostly not usable in PvE, but again it's transferable skills. Also to make a macro, and I would recommend if you're assigned to, you just make a macro saying, for example, say TJ is a faggot, cast silence. This will allow you, when you cast it, to say TJ is a faggot. Mostly a very good idea to make. So as I said, transferable skills. You can use it in arena. So to jump over to arena a little bit. There are also other macros we could use when you choose to play arena. First ones I would recommend for you to use is target arena 1, target arena 2, target arena 3, so you could keybind those. I personally prefer to keybind them to my mouse scroll, because for me I don't use them for anything else, so it's pretty handy. If I scroll up, I target the first one. If I press the middle mouse button, I target the second one. If I scroll down, I target the third one. I do the same thing with home party members when I use shift and those mouse scrolls. Again, you're free to choose whatever you want yourself, but then you just make the add-on macros, target party 1, target party 3, and party 2 should be somewhere here as well. In arena, if you choose to heal, you can do it a different way as well. You could either make those macros, target them and use your keybinds to heal them, or you could do it another way as well, and for example keybind target add party to flash heal. So every time I don't need to swap targets, I can just press that button and it starts healing the one second on the list of the party frame. To go back from arena to general, there are other macros. In World of Warcraft there's a certain thing called a global cooldown. It's an abbreviation for global cooldown. Pretty much everything in the World of Warcraft has a global cooldown. It means if you cast something, you have 1 second to where you can do nothing. So you can lower that with haste, or there are certain abilities that do not follow that rule, and those can be macroed into each other with multiple other stuff. Like an example is, if I can find one. For example, this trinket. I use 13, it's always your first slot in the trinket. So the first slot of your trinket is 13. If you use that, a trinket that has an unused effect does not count for global cooldown, so I can cast my Shadow Fiend while I'm using the trinket all at once. Same goes, for example, when you play a Feral Druid and you cast Incarnation with Berserking, you should all be able to press it all at once if you put it in one macro. GCD does apply in other stuff as well. For example, I am a Shadow Priest, and with the Shadow Priest you have something called Mind Flay. Mind Flay is actually a channeled dot, so you can see when you watch my cast bar here on the dot, you will see the ticks, and you will see that 1 tick and a half is about a GCD, but for example, if I want to do something, I will never clip it until I have the 2 ticks, because otherwise I lose a half GCD which did no damage, if that makes any sense. So there's min-maxing involved with that as well. That again is another story. To go back to macros, there's other macros. The cloak, for example, is the 15 slot, if you're ever wondering about that. The belt is the 6th slot, in case you ever need to find it out, you know it now. Other thing I want to talk about is the pet macros. For example, you have pet follow, I use that on the hunter a lot, or on the warlock when I have one, to let them come back. I have other ones to let them attack. I do not keybind it in, because when I keybind it with certain add-ons, it will fuck up if I go destruction or if I go another spec that doesn't have a pet, so I need to put it separately. The other macro I want to talk about is, for example, for my Shadow Form. Shadow Form has an exclamation mark if you watch it closely for the Shadow Form, which means if I press the same button multiple times, it won't cancel my form, it will just keep my form in. Same can be done with, for example, Shadow Fury and Death and Decay, which gives a different effect. Like, I can press my master spell as many times as I want. I will not cancel the animation you see in front of you. So that's what the exclamation mark does here. It's a really handy tip if you did not know that. Also for Shadow Priests in person, you have a cast Shadow Fiend and pet defense, blah blah blah, that doesn't matter. And the Shadow Prowl and pet attack. This also allows me to put on my Shadow Fiend, but if that target dies, for example, and I swap target and I press that button again, my Fiend will automatically target that. And that way I can spread around my pet, so I could let him attack the cross with my pet while I'm DPSing this side, so I can split up my damage. I can swap him whenever I want, and I can swap him back, and I can swap him there, and I can swap him there as much as I want. With all the same keybind. I think for macros that's about it. We have mouse overs as well. This is a mouse over, which also always lets me put up a mark. Mark 5 is the moon, in case you didn't know. Target mouse overs I rarely use, but on some occasions it is pretty good. And this example, Shackle and Death, I think it's really handy to have mouse over. I needed this one in case for Nefarian with the ads we needed to control, so it's been in my list ever since. Never remove it, it's pretty good. The other ones are with no channeling. If you have a channeled spell like Mind's here, you Mind's here and you do what's typed in there. You keep spamming it, never interrupts your cast. So I think for now I will conclude the video. If you have any questions, please contact me in game. And yeah, as always, learn to play, faggots. Yo.